All right, so that's the President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday in Kabarnet saying that he has no business having a meeting with the IEBC. Remember that the chair had called for that meeting this afternoon. Let me get the thoughts of my guests. I'll start with you, Honorable Osoro. What do you make of President Uhuru Kenyatta's sentiments? He says that he'd rather be meeting the electorate than have a meeting with IEBC and NASA.
It's completely uncalled for. I mean, the president is sounding so bitter for nothing. And we need to actually say it as it is. What is wrong with the referee calling the players, captains in their teams and discuss matters that, affect them directly? What is wrong with that? This is not about a dialogue about government or Nusu Mukate or anything. Chebukati is on record yesterday saying that he's facing a lot of frustrations and threats from both, the different political sides. And he even issued a yellow card. He was very affirmative and clear that he cannot promise a free, fair, and credible elections because of the threats he's facing from intimidations and everything that he's facing all sides.
Right.
So calling the parties to the election that is to be held, on 26th, of course it won't be held, but calling the parties to discuss on that issue clearly, it's not wrong.
But let me ask
you, completely not wrong.
What would be the agenda of this meeting? It's just 6 days. What is it that they would be discussing? Because there's so many issues and they cannot be solved within 6 days. So what is the agenda of this meeting?
Every Kenyan is seeing what is happening in this country. The political temperatures in this country have risen high and high. Every person is taking the tribal line. People are fighting. People, you look at the social media. And for me, if a referee is calling these two gentlemen, whatever the agenda is, because we do not know, clearly, let a leader go there. Let these leaders go and sit and listen to him. It will actually cool down the temperatures that you're seeing. It will remove the fears about the election date. It will help, and every person. Whatever the president has done clearly shows, whatever the statement that he said yesterday, clearly shows that he undermines Chebukati, who is supposed to oversee his election.
All right. Let me hear the thoughts of
listening to Osoro, one failed to understand where he's drawing his thought from. He's a legislator. He's the one who is in charge of making laws into our country. Chebukati has a role to play, and he has to play that role within the laws, written laws of our country, and they are very clear and explicit. There is no law which we require today, and there is no amendment of what he is supposed to do and what he is not supposed to do. If so, and if there is an amendment, or if there is anything which need to be added or subtracted, it is not the candidates. The candidate cannot set the rules, the rules of law or how the game will be played. Period. That is number one. Number two, the only thing Chebukati can call the candidate is to confirm whether the photos or the ballot papers are there.
Yes, so probably
if that is the subject, then anybody else can confirm this is Uhuru Kenyatta, this is Raila, this is Okut, this is I don't know who. Yeah. That is not a big deal. But let us not subject Kenyans to something which is not there. Then another thing.
Let me
make my statement. Let us not subject Kenyans to something which is not there. We have a court order here. IEBC has been ordered to go out there and conduct election as per the law. Period.
But don't you appreciate that we're not dealing with a normal political situation? That maybe this country, like he mentioned, is divided right now completely.
You see,
don't you think that
country is being divided by certain individuals, right? Uhuru Kenyatta has never given IEBC any conditions. So if I have not given you any conditions, and I've told you, whatever you discuss, whatever you do, whatever you want to do, I'm okay with it. All right?
But
you are the referee.
Isn't that a concern, considering that the Supreme Court really put IEBC at the center of why his re-election was nullified?
It should not be a concern, Betty, because we have laws in this country. And Chebukati must and ought to play with the laws. He is not supposed to go outside there. And I don't know why he's confusing himself. I don't know why he's crying out there that he's being pressurized. I need Chebukati to tell Kenyans, you know what? I received this call from one Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and he told me this as a candidate. And these are the issues I want to clear with him.
All right.
Uhuru Kenyatta has not done that.
All right, let me just hear also the thoughts of Charles Kipkule. He's joining us from our physical studio. Charles, what do you make of Uhuru Kenyatta's statement saying that he has nothing to do with any meetings, that he'd rather be speaking to the electorate?
Well, Betty, I think the role of the IEBC chairperson as the national returning officer for a presidential election is clear. And where we are at the moment is that the need for our leaders to come together is for purposes of mediation, just to calm down the tensions that are plaguing the country right now. So the place of the IEBC chairperson is not to mediate, is the referee. So we need, first of all, to distinguish between a referee and a mediator, because according to the law, the place for mediation on matters pertaining to the presidential election falls squarely and exclusively at the Supreme Court. So if you have any problem, any issues that need clarity, then someone should go to the Supreme Court, and then they should give direction as to that one. But as to the call by the IEBC chairperson calling for the presidential candidates to come for a meeting, then maybe just for purposes of compliance, but it is not compulsory. The reason is he is the referee, not the mediator in this case.
All right. Sorry, you wanted to say something with regard to this?
I want first to tell my colleague, Honorable Mheshimiwa Mtambo, to at least shelve some psychophancy and, we try and think this thing objectively. You see, we do not know the agenda of the meeting. And it's on record clearly that President Uhuru Kenyatta has never honored any invitation by the IEBC. He's never honored. So clearly, it's not even confirmed whether the photo placed there on the ballot box is the same, is the very same photo that he submitted to them. So when called upon by IEBC, by the chairman, without knowing the agenda, why don't play it openly again in the public? He's already showing that he does not read from the same script to the IEBC. In any case, by the way, you cannot say that the law is clear, IEBC is supposed to conduct elections. Yes, IEBC is supposed to conduct these elections according to the law, and they can equally call upon the candidates for any other reasons. They can even solve conflicts at times, within... Let me explain this. You can have... One person might have complained about the photo, probably that the name does not...
I'm sure it's not about the photo, really.
Exactly. You can't be sure of that because we do not really know why they've been called. I remember, even as candidate, he's vied and he knows, he's been an MP, that along the way we were called by the returning officer, all candidates, given the regulations, what our obligations, what you're supposed to do within the elections, what you're not supposed to do, and those kind of things. So what is wrong with Chebukati, the national returning officer, calling upon the candidates, to turn over? And especially if you're a candidate for 26. The only person who is excused not to attend this meeting is the Honorable Raila Odinga. He's not a candidate for the October 26th. He's forcefully being placed there to befit some people's interests.
But he's not formally withdrawn.
No. He's formally withdrawn. IEBC is using some... IEBC is actually under pressure by some very powerful forces. Coming out saying, Raila Odinga never formally withdrew, using the element of nomination. We never had any nomination. You don't fill a form 24 without the nomination.
Let me help
without
you.
Exercise going on.
Let me help you. I have participated in an election 3 times. 3. And I know the rules. And I know the rule, what IBC is supposed to do. And what candidates are supposed to do.
No, you never vied for presidency.
I'm telling you,
never vied for arena.
No. I have read. Let me tell you, and I have read.
Never cancelled your presidential.
I have read the laws of this country, and I have been privileged to sit in Parliament for 5 years to read and to make all these laws. Then, number 2, I also need to let you know that the work of IBC is not an arbitrator.
They are not arbitrating.
They are not.
We do not know the agenda.
And number 3, let me tell you. Number 3, we are not into any crisis. This country is not in any crisis. Number 4, what Kenyans need to understand.
Is in a crisis?
It is very unfortunate.
I don't think the country is in the crisis. It's just a political temperature.
Exactly, and that is the crisis.
Let me tell you, which will end at 26th of this month.
Will
Then what Kenyans also need to understand, let me tell you, what Kenyans need to understand, we need to understand this one man called Raila Amolo Odinga. What he is trying to do is trying to fool Kenyans that he has withdrawn from the case, from the race, so that his name is not on the ballot box, so that after election he comes and says, you know what, legally I did not sign Form 24. So we have to go back to election. Kenyans need to be very careful. This man called Raila Amolo Odinga is a tricky man. We need to understand him very clearly. And if we do not, we'll find ourselves in the same position.
All right, I want us to talk facts, and I want us to refer to what Wafula Chebukati said yesterday. And he said a very strong statement that he cannot guarantee that that election that you saw on next Thursday is actually going to be credible. Doesn't that concern you?
My concern would be one, what is credible election? That's the big question we need to ask ourselves. If IEBC does their part correctly and they do as per the law, and somebody else out there, like Osoro now says in my constituency there will be no election, is that the part of IEBC? No. That is Osoro who was bad or who was denied the IEBC officers to go and perform their duties, and then Osoro will be a criminal
Forget about the boycott
by that
thing.
time.
Forget about that.
So the issue, this is what I'm talking about. So IEBC need to tell us, because of this and this and this, we cannot give Kenyans a credible election. He is not telling us that he's lacking the instrument in it. He is not telling us that he's lacking funds. He's not telling us we are lacking laws in this country. But he's not telling us that he's lacking officers.
Well, he mentioned quite a number of issues, and even I'll go even back to what Akombe had to say and the issues that she raised. Yesterday, Wafula Chebukati said even as chair, he still cannot make decisions because, everybody has taken, whatever side they're supporting. So it's really hard to actually handle issues at the commission. But let me just hear Charles Kipkley. What do you have to say about this and Wafula Chebukati's statement yesterday?
Well, the chairman was right in what he said, because when we started, we said that the country is in a problem. We are really in a crisis. It is political, and we need a solution. And as the chairman, he expresses concerns that if this matter is not resolved, then he may not be able to guarantee that credible election according to the orders of the Supreme Court ruling. Therefore, to that extent, I wish to say that the chairman made a very right call to every Kenyan, and we need to support him on that one. But still, that does not mean that he has exclusive responsibility to make sure that the elections are conducted according to that are credible and peaceful. The issue is that there are many other actors who can step in and assist him, which is why I insist that on the issue of mediation, that is not his place, it is somebody else. And I just want to mention something.
Who would be that place? Who would be the mediator?
Well, you see, Betty, where we are right now, we are realizing that the crisis we have is political. It's simply a question of manners, political manners, and I said earlier, political hygiene. We have leaders who don't want us to submit to the laws. When the Supreme Court ruling was rendered on September 1st, the main anchor of that ruling was that it was on process, that even some forms were not properly signed. So I want to fault my friend and my very good friend, and to say here that the law is very clear on the issue of the process of withdrawal of a candidate. You must sign a form. You cannot go to court and win a case based on forms that have not been properly signed, and then again all Kenyans hostage by refusing to sign a form, yet you have said you are withdrawing. That's not the process. You cannot make your own laws and just dictate the way you want things to be done. That was for my friend Osoro. But I think going forward, we need to be honest with ourselves as Kenyans and say that as our leaders, I'm just seeing on the side camera that we have leaders who have come to sit with the IBC chairperson and the commission as we prepare for the election. We have agents, we have representatives, we have party representatives who can go there and sit. So if it is an issue of compliance and processes, pictures, names appearing properly, just send your agent. You don't have to send the presidential candidate himself. If they say, we honor your invite, but we are sending a representative, then well and good. But the thing is, the place of mediating this crisis and just providing direction on mediation to calm down the tensions that are in the country are not the exclusive domain of the IBC chair. Actually, I don't think it is the chair of the IBC. It should be, first of all, the Supreme Court to give a clear direction on where the country should go, what shall happen if you don't have elections on 26th. And then further, we have even leaders, like religious leaders who have authority and persuasion in this country. They can step in, call these gentlemen together, and then we can move on as a country.
All right. Osoro.
It's unfortunate that my friend Chepkulei cannot see the division that is within Kenya, even in the religious group, that people are completely divided. We do not have a common mediator that can help bring these parties together. But again, even having said that, I want to be on record as saying that Raila Odinga has not boycotted this 26th election. He's simply saying that there is no election. And if there is something, then it will be a selection, kind of a nomination.
And I will come back to that.
What he's saying, let this election be conducted according to the law. The Supreme Court ruling of 2013, 90 days after one candidate has formally withdrawn.
All right. Just hold your thought. I just want us, there's of course some breaking news, and as you can see on your screens there, we understand that IEBC has chosen to reschedule this particular meeting. The date will be communicated later. We don't know which date is going to be because we're just talking about 6 days to that date of 26th October, but they have chosen to actually reschedule this particular meeting. All right.
Let me say this. You see now, this is another show that clearly IEBC is so much frustrated in running this, election of 26, if at all it's there. And the chest thumping that we are seeing from one political side, Jubilee, and to be more particular, His Excellency the President, the Deputy President, if we go by what we see on political rallies, then this country is going to sink under the name of Uhuru Kenyatta. It's very unfortunate that amidst the divisions that we are facing, Chebukati comes out, who is the chairman conducting your election, where you are a candidate. Your election purportedly was nullified because of, flawed exercise. But this person has come out outrightly with a very, disturbing statement saying that he cannot promise free, fair, and credible election. I mean, doesn't it worry you as a candidate? I mean, probably that this guy is calling these parties to explain why he said that.
All right.
But this person who claims to have won the August 8th election is just coming and saying, you must conduct this. What if he conducts and declares another person the winner? Will you now say that this person, this election was flawed? Will you say that?
Okay.
I can't believe what I'm
Your
hearing
thoughts
from,
before I get to my colleague Richard Nina?
Yes, I can't believe what I'm getting from Osoro. If the message is the reason why he cannot give credible elections, that message can be given to any agent, and that message will be delivered to the candidate. That should not be an issue. And I don't see why we are making an elephant out of President Kenyatta not attending this meeting. If Chebukati was genuine, he just wanted to pass a message and he wanted to say, this is the way I want us to conduct ourselves during this election, that message can be given to anyone.
All right.
Right?